This video is presented by Western and Southern Financial Group, a game plan for your financial future. Every great team starts with a strong foundation, and your future should too. With life insurance built like a championship roster, Western and Southern helps protect what matters most so you can focus on winning today while planning for tomorrow. Whether you're just starting out your journey, building your dynasty, or ready to retire like a champion, Western and Southern has the right play for your life stage. Visit westernsouthern.com to get your free life insurance quote today. Western and Southern, built to win. First game of the Sunday slate is the Buffalo Bills traveling to Jacksonville to take on the Jaguars. And for this one, we get a fun trench matchup on both sides of things. For both offensive lines and defensive lines, there's a lot to break down, so we had to get our guy Teron Armstead back with us here on the show to break all that down. Let's hear what he had to say about this one. All right, back with our guy, Teron Armstead. Playoff edition, baby. As you said right before we hit record, playoffs. You gave a little, I heard that. I heard you do it. I heard you get the impression in there from Jim Mora. We got a fun one, and Bills-Jags. I think that's the one that's the most intriguing when it comes to the trench matchup where we want to pick your brain, get your expertise here. And Teron, both sides of the ball, I think, are very interesting here, right? You got Bosa and Greg Rousseau going up against a Jags offensive line that, not star-studded, but playing so well together, especially in the second half of the season. Then, of course, on the other side, you got Josh Hines-Allen, you got Trayvon Walker. They're going up against Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown there. So I'll actually give you the dealer's choice. Which matchup, which side of the ball do you want to start talking about here? Because I think it's very fun on both sides for both teams.
Yeah, no, for sure. I definitely agree, Trev. This is my game of the week. Out of all the games, wild card weekend, this matchup I see just being very, very closely called on both sides of the ball, both teams. The Jags have had an amazing season, and their gift, their reward for their season is Josh Allen. Round one.
Merry freaking Christmas, right? You get to play Josh Allen round one.
No question. But trenches wise, this is also, like I said, it's very closely. The Jags offensive line is not loaded with Pro Bowlers, all pros like we've seen from the Buffalo Bills offensive line, but they are playing at an extremely high level. The chemistry, the cohesiveness, the momentum, the confidence on their 8-game win streak, they are playing at the highest level. So the Bills D-line and the Bills defense have been a question. They have been an issue. Joey Bosa has been great. Rousseau at times, but there hasn't been a consistent pressure. It hasn't been consistent pressure or dominance from the Bills defense like we've seen in years past.
Right.
So that's the note right there that the Jags can really take advantage of with, even in the run game with ETN. I think that the Jags have the advantage there to get the nod over the Bills defense and defensive line.
I'm wondering in this game, just because Rousseau is so versatile, and they do this all the time. They do this every game, but with this specifically, going into what you said about, the Jags, it's not littered with all pros on the offensive line. Sometimes when you get these matchups with the Bills, they'll say, okay, well, they've got a Pro Bowler at left guard, or they've got a Pro Bowler at right tackle. Let's put Rousseau in a different position. Like, let's not put him against the left guard. Let's put him against the right guard. Let's not put him against the right tackle. Let's put him against the left tackle. I'm very curious to see what the initial game plan is for Buffalo of what they're going to do with Greg Rousseau. Like, do they feel super confident one way or the other? Like, with Cole Van Lannon, he's been playing super well. He's played at a bunch of different positions, but did they say, hey, he's never seen anybody like Rousseau. Let's go at him initially. He had that knee injury last week. It looks like he's going to be good to go, but as you know, I mean, like, you get to this point in the season, everybody's playing with something. So do they take a versatile player like Rousseau and move him around a lot at the beginning of the game, or do you think that they're going to go into it from tape study, from a game plan, and not even have to, I don't want to say like waste a quarter, but you know what I'm saying? Like right off the bat, be like, nope, this is our game plan. This is what we're going after. How would you use Greg Rousseau here in this game? I guess is kind of what I'm asking.
In my experience against Buffalo, I was in the division for 3 years, so played them twice a year, also played them in the playoffs. They have not been a team to game plan matchup specific on the D-line. So when I was there at left tackle, I saw Von Miller, Greg Rousseau, AJ Epinanza, Shaq Lawson, whoever. Like they didn't necessarily let me go put this guy against someone else. They play their defense, and that's one thing about them. They don't change up much with their defense. Coach Sean McDermott, he's sure on the type of defense and the style of defense they want to play. They mostly play boundary and field. So if I was, the defensive coordinator, I would try to match up as much as I possibly can. Greg Rousseau is extremely versatile. He's extremely fast. The guy may have ran a 4.5 in the 40-yard dash. He has long arms. He's strong. He's smart. So I would move him around, which they have in the past as well. He would line up over a guard sometimes or spinner over the center. So it'll be interesting to see the game plan that they have. But in my experience with Buffalo, they'll play left and right.
So on the other side of things, let's touch on Hines Allen and Trevor Walker, who you speak and have spoken very highly of throughout the course of this year. Just everything that Hines Allen can bring to the table, the power, just the raw athleticism that the Trayvon Walker has and generates. This is one of the best offensive tackle duos in the NFL, and Deion Dawkins and Spencer Brown. So those guys, I think, win in a lot of ways. So when you think about these two offensive tackles, what they do very well, what's their game plan for neutralizing these two guys when they go up against each one of them individually?
Yeah, this is actually a really good matchup for Buffalo. And with their tackle tandem, their strengths is their strength. So their anchor, being able to stop power. So you're going against guys in Josh Hines Allen and Trayvon Walker, who's power. Josh Allen is speed to power. So we're going to see him and Deion Dawkins clash several times in this matchup. Trayvon Walker will do a little bit more movement than Hines Allen would. He had a long arm opposed to just straight two-hand bull rush. But Spencer Brown, Deion Dawkins, these guys are massive humans. They anchor very, very well. So this matchup favors the Bills' tackles when it comes to those one-on-one matchups on the outside.
Man, I can't wait for this one. I agree with you. Game of the week, matchup of the week. As hot as the Jags are right now, getting Josh Allen coming to town, the trench matchups on both sides of the ball, man. This one's going to be a ton of fun. All the playoff games are going to be a ton of fun. I'm so glad that the postseason is here. Teron, thanks for hanging with us, and we'll see you next week, my friend.
Yes, sir. Appreciate you.
Let's start our portion of this preview with the Jags passing game. Dalton, talk to me about what you're looking forward to seeing with the Jags pass game going up against the Buffalo Bills secondary and their coverage.
So I think when you think about the Bills schematically, it's a lot of two high coverages, right? A lot of cover two, a lot of rotating the safeties, but generally Sean McDermott and Bobby Babich, what they like to do is keep two high safeties back there and disallow you from taking those deep shots down the field, right? It's worked for them for so many years, and then if they can force turnovers, that's a big plus. Now, Trevor Lawrence, I think one of the biggest areas of improvement this year has been his ability to attack and beat two high coverages. Trevor, this season, an 86.4 passing grade against two high coverages. Fourth in the NFL, the seventh highest average depth of target when he's facing two high coverages. Seventh highest in the NFL, 9.2 yards, I should say, on the average depth of target. Seventh highest in the NFL. Not afraid to attack them, and 15 big-time throws against two high safeties, most in the NFL. What Trevor Lawrence has done, especially down the stretch of this season, and we've talked about the confidence and the aggression that he's played with, even when he gets two high safeties, he is not afraid to layer the football through zone coverage. I'm not sure anybody in the league right now is throwing the ball in the 15 to 30-yard range better than Trevor Lawrence, because he's layering it over that second level of the defense, over the linebackers and in between safeties. He's got the ability to make any throw on the field with the right velocity and arc, and he's just not afraid to challenge those coverages because he has the arm talent to make any throw on the field. You see so many quarterbacks in the league, down in college, at any level of football, when they see two high safeties back there, they immediately get into check down mode. Trevor Lawrence is not doing that right now. The Bills are one of the best teams at deploying two high coverages. Trevor Lawrence has been one of the best quarterbacks in football this year at beating them.
It also makes me nervous, right? Just because how long can he be this on fire? Obviously, like if he continues to play at this level, I think we're talking about the Jags playing for the Super Bowl. But I think for the Jags run game, the theme that I'm about to say is basically the theme for them throughout their entire playoff journey, however long it lasts. Can the run game just be enough. Because the Jags are red hot right now, and you mentioned Trevor Lawrence, and that passing offense is a big reason why. The run game is not. I thought through the first half of this season, there were flashes where the run game was kind of coming along, and they were at least very efficient. But since week 9, so the second half of this season, Jags, 68.2 rushing grade as a team. It's 29th in the NFL. EPA per rush, it's 23rd in the NFL. And if you just want to shorten the sample size to the last month, well, what have you done for me lately? 65.0 rush grade, so even worse. They're 28th in the NFL in that sample size, in that range. And their EPA per run is 25th. They're 29th in missed tackles forced with just 10 over the last month. And I just think that the run game isn't very dynamic right now. And I don't think it's fair to ask the run game to all of a sudden be dynamic out of nowhere. Like, let's ask the Jags to all of a sudden have a lot of explosive plays or force a lot of missed tackles. I just don't think that that's going to happen for them. All you're really asking for Jacksonville's run game at this point is, can you be enough? Can you be complementary when you need to be? 3rd and 2, we call a run play. Can you pick it up? All right. If it's an incompletion on first down, you got 2nd and 10, because offensive coordinators like to run on 2nd and 10 when they don't pick up anything on first down, when they're passing the ball on first down. Can you make it 3rd and manageable, right? Is there just an efficiency point of how you're running the ball? Don't think about overall output. Can it be efficient enough? So that's really what I'm looking forward to seeing, and that's going to be a consistent theme for however long the Jags are in the playoffs. We're going to talk about that point a lot. What about the Bills' run game? What do you see from the Bills' run game as of late heading into this game?
I think this is a lot of fun with the run game on both sides, because I actually think these two teams have the same goals, okay? And you've got two teams that do not run base defense very often at all. The Bills run nickel in a classic sense, where they have Taron Johnson out there all the time as a nickel corner, and you really have 3 cornerbacks out there, and they really rely on their front 6 and maybe Cole Bishop coming up and run support from safety to help them out, right? Whereas, offensively, the Bills overwhelm you with tight ends, and the Jaguars defense, they are almost never in a base defense with 3 linebackers. If they're in a base defense, it's with a 5th defensive lineman out there with Dennis Gardeck out on the edge, and they're running that classic 3-4 front. But they never have a 3rd true linebacker out there. And I think, we've pointed out some individual players, right, with the Jags. When you talk about the linebackers, Devin Lloyd and Foye Oluokun being so great all year. And then the 2 safeties that really, I think, make this defense go. Antonio Johnson, who's right now the highest graded safety in football, and Andrew Wingard, who's been one of the best run defending safeties in football. Those guys are the key. And the more I was watching tape of this team, especially in run defense, I think we need to say this more. This Jags team is built a lot, maybe even the same as that Seattle Seahawks defense. And we know how good that unit is. It's the same idea about how long can we defend the run with smaller bodies, right? With Antonio Johnson kind of acting as that 3rd linebacker, with Andrew Wingard coming down in the box and helping out in the run game as well, as versatile as he is. Because on the back end, you've got Eric Murray, the free safety. He's just kind of hanging out back there in single high, and then sometimes he'll rotate into 2 high stuff. But I think that's going to be the key. Now, when the Bills are running against teams with 5 or more defensive backs on the field, 91.2 rushing grade, 2nd in the NFL behind Chicago, 4th in the NFL in yards per carry, 5.5 yards per carry. The Jaguars, and this is why their defense has been so good this year, one big reason for it is that they can stay light in personnel and they can still stop the run. 11th in the league in run defense grade with 5 or more DBs on the field, and 4.5 yards per carry is the 7th fewest in the NFL. That's what I want to see. How can either team, but especially Jacksonville against James Cook in this Buffalo run game and all those tight ends they throw at you, how long can they stay light in the box body-wise? They might have a lot of a higher head count in there when you talk about 7 and 8 in there with Johnson and with Wingard, but how long can they avoid having to put a 3rd linebacker, or how long can they avoid having to put a 5th defensive lineman out there? I think that's a huge turning point in this game, is if you get this Bills offensive line, and then you get Dawson Knox and Jackson Hawes, especially up front, dominating those lighter bodies and getting to the second level, the Jags are going to have a real problem. But they've been working around it all season. Again, with Johnson and Wingard, I think are the 2 keys to this game for Jacksonville on defense. If they don't get dominated at the second level and they play as fast as they have been in recent weeks in run defense, I think the Jags are going to be okay on defense, but that's the big battle to me on both sides. And even look at it from the Jacksonville run game side, right? Bretton Strange, Johnny Munt, two of the best blocking tight ends in the NFL. How can the Bills light box handle Jacksonville's run game getting downhill? I think there's opportunities for both teams to succeed offensively in the run game, but that's going to be the key. How long can those two teams stay in those personnel packages on defense?
I think the Bills tight ends honestly tell the story of this game, not only from a personnel perspective, like how they'll complement and impact the run game for the Bills, but also just in the passing game as well. You see on the screen that even though Buffalo is on the road, they are the favorites in this game. They are 1.5 favorites here, and the Jags at home are getting 1.5 there. And I think the reason why is because they just trust Josh Allen. They're trusting the quarterback in this situation, but when you look at how Josh Allen has played and this Bills offense has played, the big play passing has not been there for them the way that I think we just normally think of when it comes to the Buffalo Bills. Second half of this season, okay, Josh Allen has a 4.7% big time throw percentage. Dalton, he has not had a season-long big time throw percentage below 6% as a whole since his second year in the NFL. So, since he broke out, since he's just been the Josh Allen that we all know today, it has not been nearly as low as what it is this season. He has 23 total big-time throws in the second half of this season. Or, sorry, that's I think, total this season is 23. And his total big-time throws over the last couple of years were so much higher. You see the numbers in the 40s, the 50s. It's almost double what it is this year. It's just not the same. 5 big-time throws over the last month specifically, that's tied for 17th in the NFL. So this big play passing Josh Allen just has not been there. Not that he's not capable of it, but I think there's a lot of things that go into that, specifically the receivers that he's throwing to. His 3.15 time to throw over the last month, that would be the highest since his rookie season. So I think that he is not throwing the ball deep down the field nearly as much, and he's holding on to the ball a lot longer, because he just doesn't trust these receivers. We've talked about that throughout the whole season. It's okay, there's a couple of guys that you can trust here and there in certain situations, but when the going gets tough, when your back's against the wall, who do you trust? And I don't know if Josh Allen trusts anybody. However, the Bills' tight end passing game is by far their highest return on investment this season. Dalton Kincaid has missed 5 games this year with injury. He missed last week's game due to a knee injury. They're hoping to get him as healthy as possible for this game because I think his presence means a lot. Dawson Knox, Dalton Kincaid, Jackson Hawes, getting these guys on the field for 12 and 13 personnel, not only because it helps out the run game with extra blockers going up against the Jags playing a little bit lighter in the box, but also, Dalton, because, quite frankly, the highest passing and receiving grades for the Bills have come when running their offense through tight ends. So to me, the Bills tight ends hold the key to all of this, because if they are not comfortable, healthy, executing, whatever word you want to use, when they are in those heavier sets, well then, like you said, they're going to allow the Jags to play lighter and faster, which is what they want to do on the defensive side of the ball. And quite frankly, the passing game without the tight ends, with Dalton Kincaid specifically, it just hasn't been what the Jags have needed it to be to win football games. So to me, it just all comes down to the tight ends for the Bills. I just think the Jags are playing too well right now. If this one was in Buffalo, I'd probably go with the Bills. But with it being in Jacksonville, with as good as Trevor Lawrence has been playing, and with as good as this defense has been playing, we mentioned on the grade release show that the Jags over the last month and a half have the highest coverage grade of any team in the NFL by a lot. Give me the Jags, 28-27. I'm going, the cowards, 1-point win here for the prediction, but it's because I respect this game so much, and I think it's just going to be a lot of fun to watch.
I'll be honest. I agree with what our good friend Teron Armstead said there in that clip with you guys, is that I think this is the best game of the weekend. I do. I think this is going to be a fantastic game. You've got Josh Allen, who's one of the great playoff performers we've seen in recent years, and Trevor Lawrence, who's the hottest quarterback in football right now. It is in all likelihood going to come down to a moment apiece for each of those two guys, but some about the Jacksonville run game, too. I know it hasn't been great down the stretch here, but if you were going to get right, you would do it against this Buffalo run defense that has not been good all season. I think the Jaguars have more avenues of winning, whereas the Bills, it's just, at the end of the day, it's going to be all right, Josh Allen, go win this game at some point. Maybe they have the success in the run game, but the Jags have a blazing fast run defense. They get after the football, they tackle well, and they even play really well in coverage. I'm curious to see if the Bills can find anything down the field and over the middle of the field with those tight ends, with as well as the Jags have been covering the middle of the field all season. They need a healthy version of Dalton Kincaid in the passing game, but right now I'm with you. I think Jacksonville all around has a better football team, and then they have to deal with Josh Allen as the ultimate equalizer. But I'm going to take Jacksonville at home as well, 27-24.
I was saying to Teron before we recorded, I think if Jacksonville wins this game, they're going to the Super Bowl. I think that if they knock off Josh Allen and if they play really well in this game to start things off, I think they're going to be able to ride that momentum, and I think they're going to represent the AFC.
Well, that still might include road trips to New England and Denver.
No, I know. I
know they won in Denver once already.
It's not as easy as just saying like, oh, we can sim the games, we're good to go, don't need to play the AFC playoffs. But I think that if they win this game, the confidence that it will mean that they have played well enough to beat the Buffalo Bills, which are still a really good football team, and two, the confidence that you get from knocking out that quarterback, knowing that Mahomes and Burrow and Lamar Jackson aren't waiting for you in the next couple of rounds. I think Jacksonville makes it to the Super Bowl if they win this game. So we shall see.
Everyone's got takes. Numbers have truth. And the truth is, most people are betting with emotion. Sportsbooks feed on it. TikTok gurus sell it. The hype machine runs on it. That's how you lose. PFF is different. You're betting with winning data. The same data trusted by all 32 NFL teams and the sharpest minds in the game. PFF betting tools take every prop, every matchup, every angle, and run them through our custom models. Built on the best football data in the world. What comes back is your edge. Simple, sharp, and built to win. Want to go deeper? PFF puts a pro-level analytics department in your hands, giving you the same insights teams use to find every advantage. Build your game plan with matchup analysis. Project every snap, every matchup, and every edge before kickoff. Because the smartest plays start long before Sunday. Hit rates show how a player performs against their prop and against defenses built the same way. It's the data that gives you real confidence in every pick. Next, Key Insights translates PFF data into the story behind every matchup, giving you the why that powers your bets. From coverage schemes to defensive looks, it's the context that turns raw numbers into winning decisions. When you're ready to take action, filter through every prop on the market and focus on the opportunities that matter, by game, matchup, or value. Then, shop for the best available line in your area and tap your book of choice to place the bet instantly. Everyone's got takes, but now you've got truth. Bet with data, win with PFF.